Why Luka Doncic is mad unstoppable in the NBA. Luka Doncic has taken the league by storm with an incredible rookie season and an MVP-like season in his sophomore year. Doncic is not your typical athlete, but he's one special basketball player with a ton of confidence and passion. Instead of comparing Doncic to some of the greats, it's time to recognize that Doncic is paving his own road and expects to win every time he steps on the hardwood. Keep watching to find out more on why Luka Doncic is truly unstoppable. 16-year-old pro. Before getting drafted into the NBA, Luka Doncic played professional basketball overseas starting in 2015 with Real Madrid as a 16-year-old. Playing professional basketball at an early age helped sculpt Doncic's game before coming into the NBA. Doncic was the most advanced rookie in the 2018-19 season as far as his skill set offensively. As his game develops, Doncic has gained confidence and plays thinking that no other player can guard him. Doncic has also been getting his teammates involved and has taken the league by surprise. Some believe it's unfair to call him a sophomore in the NBA due to his early professional career overseas. At the end of the day, the competition is still greater in the NBA than overseas. He's still a sophomore in reality. Doncic can't even drink legally yet. The NBA Draft. When the Mavericks traded up for Luka Doncic in the 2018 NBA Draft, some were stunned at the decision by the Mavs to trade 2 first-round draft picks for Luka Doncic. But unlike New York Knicks fans, when Kristaps Porzingis was selected, many Mavericks fans were excited to bring another European onto the squad after Dirk Nowitzki's success with Dallas. Improvements on his game. Luka Doncic took the NBA by storm, winning the Rookie of the Year almost unanimously last season. Dominic's numbers this season remind people of an NBA 2K My Player. Doncic is close to averaging a triple-double on a daily basis, bringing out his inner Russell Westbrook with 29.6 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. Doncic averaged 21.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6 assists last season, averaging 32.2 minutes per game. This season, Doncic averages 33.4 minutes per game. Doncic has increased his point total nearly 9 points under the same amount of minutes per game. The Mavericks front office noticed the kind of star they brought in and changed the entire outlook of the Mavericks team. Last season's starting lineup consisted of players Doncic didn't mesh well with. Last year's lineup included Doncic, along with Dennis Smith Jr., Harrison Barnes, Dirk Nowitzki, and DeAndre Jordan. The Mavericks took possession away from Luka Doncic with ineffective post-ups and isolation plays that took away from Doncic's playmaking. In the 2018-2019 season, Doncic averaged 77.5 touches per game, which was good for 21st in the NBA. This season, Doncic averages 96 touches per game, which leads the NBA. Doncic's time of possession also increased from 6.5 to 8.9, which is now second in the entire NBA. Doncic has improved his field goal percentage from 42.7% to 47.4%, and has improved his free throw percentage from 71.3% to 80.2% from his rookie season. Doncic is taking almost 11 two-point field goal attempts per game and is averaging about 61% on those field goals. The step back. In 2018, there was controversy surrounding Luka Doncic's step backs. Critics didn't understand how a step back wasn't a travel in the NBA. On December 4th, 2018, Doncic used his step back against the Trailblazers that reached SportsCenter highlights everywhere. The Twitter video on SportsCenter reached over 1.2 million views in a short period of time. Doncic called for the ball on the right side of the perimeter, pump-faked the defender, dribbled in, and took a huge step backwards beyond the three-point line, shaking his defender away, and drilled a three-point shot in crunch time. NBA referees had to release an explanation and statement on why Doncic's iconic step back wasn't a travel. The NBA referee's Twitter replied that fans should focus on the gather, where the offensive player gathers the ball with his left foot on the floor. He then jump stops behind the three-point line and elevates into his shot. The NBA referee's Twitter then said that it was a legal play. Not your typical athlete. Luka Doncic has shot lights out all season. Defenders hate guarding him because it's almost impossible to block his shot. Doncic doesn't look athletic or have an insane build of an athlete, but he sure plays like one. Doncic ranks 4th in the NBA in and ones. He's not shying away from contact, and he's averaging 30 points a game, which means he's not shying away from shooting the ball either. Doncic has 12 more and ones than shots blocked this season. Luka is impossible to stop due to his freakish body control, and can Euro-step around almost anyone to get a basket. Furthermore, Doncic has full command with his offhand around the rim, allowing him to score with either hand when necessary. This makes Luka Doncic almost impossible to guard. Effective pick and roll. Boston Celtics head coach Brad Stevens admitted that Luka Doncic is as good as he has ever seen using pick and rolls at his age. Defensive coverages have evolved alongside pick and roll offense. The best players to ever run the pick and roll were John Stockton and Karl Malone. They ran the pick and roll over and over again with great success throughout 18 years of playing with each other. Doncic mirrors Stockton in the pick and roll. There are 6 different coverages to stop the pick and roll. The drop coverage is where the ball handler can pick and pop with the bigs, hit a pull-up 3, find the roll man, or throw a skip pass. The drop coverage is the most used coverage in the NBA. The defender will look to fight over the top of the screen, and the big will head back in the paint to give the defender enough time to recover from the screen. Therefore, the roll man would be in the front and would get less help from the weak side wing. The perimeter defender will try to reattach to the ball handler's hip and look to force a floater or mid-range shot, which is the worst shot in the game analytically. Doncic's size and technique often prevent any reattachment from happening. Doncic will turn the corner on the ball screen against the drop coverages, and he will slow down and cut in front of the recovering defender. Doncic will use his entire body frame to his advantage, and creates a 2-on-1 scenario where the containing big will either have to step up to Doncic or try to defend the big from getting an easy layup or a lob pass. Think about this. Doncic scores 1.31 points per possession on the shots he takes from the pick and roll. The average half-court possession for defenses is 0.95 points per possession. Doncic is flat out special. Luka Doncic, at 20 years old, seems to make playing basketball in the NBA look so easy. If you think about some of the all-time greats at the age of 20, he reminds you of Magic Johnson and LeBron James. Doncic always seems prepared and plays his own game and plays at his own pace. Luka makes everyone around him better. If you put a player with size to guard him, he'll blow by them. If you put someone smaller on Doncic, he'll find his spots and still be efficient. Confidence. Confidence should be Luka's middle name. Doncic brings with him a super confident personality. He's trusted by his teammates on and off the court due to his humble personality and that humane nature of his love for the game and his love for his teammates. It's the way Doncic has been prepared for the NBA. To this day, nobody in the NBA at his age of 20 has come into the league more prepared for the bright lights in the NBA. This is due to Doncic's professional career where he played in some extremely big games overseas. Some would compare the big games overseas to March Madness or the Final Four in particular. The treatment is that Doncic played with players that were much older than him, compared to college athletes playing with guys that were their same age. Doncic was under immense pressure during his early professional days. The NBA is nothing to him due to the fact that he had already adapted to the bright lights and harder competition. This has helped Doncic be poised and controlled during NBA games. His passion. Doncic can still improve some facets of his game. His passion can be so high at times that he can lose control of his emotions. Everyone loves a player that shows emotion and cares. Doncic tends to ride the refs looking for foul calls sometimes. Doncic was given a technical foul on December 4th, 2019 for doing just that. Mavericks head coach Rick Carlisle had to remove Doncic from the game after Doncic's emotions got the best of him. At this point in the game, Doncic and the Mavericks were trailing by 8, and Doncic was unhappy with how the game was playing out. Doncic tends to take his frustration out on officials when he isn't having the best of games. This leaves an area where Doncic can still improve his game. At 20 years old, it would be impossible for Doncic to have no areas to improve on his game. Doncic has acknowledged that he needs to keep a cooler head, saying, "I'm passionate for the game. I want to win, and I just sometimes get out of control because I want to win the whole time. I'm competitive. You can ask my family. Even if it's not basketball, if it's anything, I'm so competitive. But yeah, I've got to work on that for sure." Doncic also said, "I know how to approach officials, but like I say, I'm passionate. I know a lot of times I'm wrong. Persons are wrong sometimes, and I've just got to learn to calm myself down and go on to the next play." Paving his own road. Doncic has been compared to some of the greats like Magic Johnson, LeBron James, and John Stockton. At 20 years old, it's hard for fans and analysts around the league to not give a comparison for Doncic. But Doncic is paving his own road. Doncic has had 9 30-points triple-double during the 2019-2020 so far. The next player with 30 points triple-double is LeBron James with just 3. Doncic isn't as athletic as LeBron James, but he's probably more athletic than Magic Johnson. Luka absolutely looks to score more than either of those two players. Doncic has become one of the hardest players to defend in the NBA at such a young age, and has succeeded tremendously with the right players around him. Doncic is the type of player that allows the game to come to him without rushing shots. Luka makes the right decisions and very rarely turns the ball over. With Doncic developing quicker than anyone could have imagined, it might be time for the Mavericks to make a trade and bring in a couple more pieces to make a realistic run at the NBA championship this season. With players like Andre Drummond and Kevin Love on the market, do the Mavericks see a fit between those players with Doncic? At the start of the season, the Mavericks and the critics around the league would have laughed at the notion that the Mavericks are NBA contenders, but with the way Doncic has played and the way the Mavericks have played around Doncic, it's not out of the question. Doncic's rookie contract will expire at the end of the 2021 season, and the Mavericks will need to pay up. Now might be the time to cash in on Doncic's rookie contract and his MVP-like play. Expectations. Luka Doncic leads the West in All-Star voting, and even he is surprised. Doncic said after his rookie season that he worked hard over the summer. Doncic said he was given more time to prepare for this season. Overseas, Doncic would only get about 3 to 4 weeks to get ready for the next season, while in the NBA, he was given more time to improve his game and prepare during the offseason. With the way Doncic has played, expectations continue to rise and comparisons continue to be side chatter. One thing is for sure, Doncic is a bona fide star and is unstoppable in a league of grown men. Doncic can't legally drink, but we can still have a toast to that.